if our both are oh,
We good? We live?
Yes, there we
Yeah.
are.
Awesome. Hey Jan, how are you?
Hey Quentin, I'm good, thank you. It was a fun day, and how are you?
I am good. It's been a busy week, and even a couple of weeks because we've not been live for what, 3 weeks, 4 weeks now? It's
Yeah, we
been
had to
been
skip
a
one,
while.
right? And
Yeah.
what it sometimes
But yeah,
happens.
it's been extremely busy since then, and I thought like the beginning of the year would be a bit more calm and chill, but nope. But that's good.
Yeah, that's right. Same here, and I really enjoyed this year so far, and there was a lot of things to do, and many things that are starting, and that's great. I really I'm happy, and I'm happy that we can share this, and that we are having the same situation. But hello, everyone, and I hope that you can hear and see us. Otherwise, Quentin and me are just talking to each other. So if you could just hit the chat for a second to let us know if everything's good, would be nice. And Quentin, do you know what I saw today? Just a couple of an hour ago, I think I saw that there was a new Jackass movie coming.
Really, they
Do you
still
know?
exist.
Do you know Jackass?
Yeah, yeah, I know. But I didn't even know they still had something going on.
And they are all like gray and old, and that's so cool. And I I remember everything now. I have a kid from the 80s growing up in the 90s. I watched everything from Jackass and Come Kill Yourself and all that kind of stuff. And it was so nice to see all the guys with gray hair and Johnny Knoxville hit by a bull doing a 360 in the air. I'm super pumped to check this. I don't know if anyone can relate, but we tried to mimic this, and we came up with some stunts too. But I think we weren't as brave as they were, and we didn't have these kind of camera guys with us. But it was so exciting. It was so much fun. Yeah, here Danny says
Yeah.
that he loves Jackass. Thank you, Danny. It's great to you should check it out. It's just this interview that they had. They were talking about how their sons are going to perform in Jackass sequel something in 2060.
Until there is no one left anymore. I remember I saw one of them who was a skater. What was his name? Bam
Ben
Margera.
Margera, yeah.
And yeah, he looks so old now.
He looks
Like
like his
you
father
see
back then,
his, yeah, he
but
took
he's been
such
on
a
drugs
beating.
a
Like,
lot, I guess. And
yeah. But I mean, for like with what they've been doing all their life, how could you not be on drugs?
but hey, Stevo is I think he is fine now. He's clean and sober for quite some time now. But I don't know if that helps. It, what I think they destroyed themselves like 100x,
Yeah.
but it was fun. Anyhow, we're here to talk about portfolio today, and
Yeah.
how you could possibly stand out with a portfolio. And we want to emphasize and put some light on how we set up our portfolios and why we did what we did, and what we are doing when things change. And so, can you remember when you last time updated your portfolio, or when you did a major change to it?
Uh, like my online portfolio, so my website, I think
Yeah, that's the
biggest
first
change
good point, right?
was
Sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
that's the first good point.
yeah,
When we talk about portfolio, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's your online portfolio, right? But just to make
yeah,
that clear, maybe for someone that's watching, because I think portfolio,
yeah,
many
because
people think that it's the website, and
yeah,
well,
but it's not always just the website. There could be different forms. So yeah, website. I updated my website, so I fully changed it last year, and now I'm kind of like updating it I try to update it on a monthly basis. Like if I've got new interesting projects or just something to add or just images to move around, I try to go at least like the first week of every month and change some of the stuff on it. And you?
Well, I updated it. I think the whole website had a relaunch in 2021, and I made up my mind about how I want to present myself, and I thought that it would be nice, and that's one thing that I want to show a little later today, is that I wanted to make my mission clear to everybody that is watching. So I gave myself a little rebranding, and I wanted to have a clear red line through all my communication. And I really enjoyed the process of thinking about the mission, writing it down, and testing it with some clients and with some friends, and then create the visual appearance and let it flow through all the channels and through all my communication. But that is, I guess, because of my advertising background. I'm quite brainwashed when it comes to branding, and I had to learn it from the beginning in working as an art director in my life. I know that I'm very what's the word? I'm very much into everything has to be out of one, and it has to be like very consistent. But of course, that's not necessary if you just want to show your work. But I wanted to.
Yeah, I'm not so sure. I mean, like when we talk about commercial work, I mean, if you're a wedding photographer or like portrait photographer, it may not be true, but I think if you get into commercial work, I believe you should be aware of what branding is, what a visual identity is, and how to use it. Because I mean, people who are going to hire you, they know, and if you cannot show that you understand that and how to use it, it doesn't look good.
That's a very good point, and I know that my job consists of a strong experience and knowledge in visual aesthetics, and this is what I want to transport in my communication. But talking about portfolio, that could also be just samples of your work printed in a book or just as a PDF and with your logo on it. It doesn't have to be a really stylish designed website and a whole story behind that. But we can open that up in the following. But I try to update my portfolio at least once a month too. So I'm thinking about what to take out, and I'm thinking about what to put in. And I think that leads already to my first point that I want to talk about today. And I think it is very important to think about if you want to what you want to show. Let me go with my example. Is I am a retoucher and I am working in many different fields, but I don't necessarily talk about every single field. So there's a lot of commercial work that is possibly not going to the portfolio, but there's certain commercial work that I want to show to let interested agencies know what I'm capable of, so they can do they can imagine what I can do with their images, even if it's a bulk job for, I don't know, and let's say an eCam campaign or something like that. This is typically not the job that goes to the portfolio, but it's a job that is very, very much appreciated, although it's not shown. So the point that I want to make is, I think it's a good idea to choose quality over quantity. So you don't need to have to put every single job in your portfolio, especially when you're starting out. And that might sound counterintuitive maybe, but that is what I had to learn when I was starting out. I was so proud of every single job that I did that I didn't really think about having this clear image of my work for someone from the outside. So I put in a lot of stuff, and that didn't really have that consistent red line. And that is when you start out, I think you don't have a really clear vision of what you want to do. Let's say as a retoucher, for example, niche-wise, and I decided that I want to go for the commercial and advertising work, because that's where I came from. I knew the challenges, and I knew a lot of techniques, and there was, of course, these commercial looks were something that was asked a lot, and composite work. And so I concentrated on that, but I didn't say no when there was something else coming my way. And I was happy to share it, but as the portfolio filled up, and I noticed that even when people reached out, they asked it, can you do this and can you do that? And I said, well, of course, you can take a look at my website. And they said, well, it's not really clear. And then I started thinking about, maybe I should concentrate on my best work and the work that I really want to get. Right?
Yeah.
And that was the thought that I had. So I wanted to have because in the beginning I didn't have a lot of work that I wanted to that I thought was the best I can do. So I concentrated on just maybe 3 projects, and the website showed just 3 projects, and I was a little afraid, but it was a good decision. So I attracted more of those people, and that was a good idea. How do you feel about quality over quantity?
Yeah, pretty much the same. And that for 2 reasons, I'd say. Like, the first one is, like the saying goes, you're as good as your worst image is, if I may say.
Yeah.
Like, if someone is going to say, oh, that image is just garbage, so were the other 2 you have in your portfolio just luck, or is it really just the third one that's not so good, that was like not a good project? And sometimes as an artist, you get to develop some kind of a relation with your work. Like, you really like some work for a personal reason, and then it's actually not so great work. It's just work that you like for some personal reason. And that can become an issue when you make a job out of that, because then you're not showing your best work, you're just showing something you're emotionally attached to. And I don't think that's such a great idea. So yeah, that's definitely something I think you have to be mindful of. And then the other thing as well, because we just touched base with it in the beginning of today episode, like having the online portfolio or other portfolios as well. I think it's a good idea to like have one portfolio online, show your best work, and then you can still keep some PDF on the side. And
yes.
I know for me it's the case. I get some of the clients coming to me and be like, oh, do you do like I don't know, architecture work or industrial photography? And I'm like, well, it's not my specialization, but yeah, sure, I can do that as well. And here is some sample work I've done for other clients. It's not something I want to do like on a regular basis. But then if I've got some clients that look interesting, or the work seems great, or it's well paid, well, in some cases you're just like, well, here is a like short portfolio for that kind of work. And
absolutely,
it does the job, honestly. Yeah.
Very good point. I do the same. When you look at my website, it shows mostly editorial work and some commercial work. That has 2 reasons. It is one, I'm not allowed to show a lot of my commercial work that I do for
Yeah.
agencies or direct clients. That has a couple of reasons, and sometimes it's that the product that is in that commercial is going to be launched in 2 to 3 years, for example, with hair commercials. And the other thing is that they just don't want it, and that's a thing that is, of course, a pity. But since it's a paid job, it's okay, But then again, if you do editorial work or collaborations with photographers, in my case, for example, that do a lot of hair or beauty work, it's a good way to really create something outstanding that is on the level of commercial work, or that could go through as commercial work, but do that in a collaboration and then be able to put it on your website. So that's what I like to do, or having these publications in well-known in magazines is something that is an idea that is very valid for photographers and researchers alike. And I think that's something that is a good way to fill up your portfolio. And then I had another thought on the quality over quantity, because there's another point that I want to add to this is I think it's very important to communicate a clear mission and a clear vision that you have. Meaning that if in your case you're advertising yourself as a beauty and product photographer, and this is something that gives a clear expectation. And if you fill up with your portfolio with exactly that, people get what they expect. And this is something that I think is very important. So when I started out, I made that transition from being an art director and retoucher at the same time to just being a retoucher. At the beginning, when I was starting to be self-employed in 2009, I was predominantly working as an art director, and I always had this urge to do retouching. And there was this, I think, 2-year-long phase of transition until I finally had the gut feeling to, hey, just go all in and just advertise retouching and don't be the jack of all trades, so to say. And this was a very important decision because I knew what I could do, but people that came from the outside, and especially people that I attracted new, they didn't have that clear vision of me, and I couldn't give them my arguments when they were looking at my website. And later I thought that it's good to say in a mission statement or in a short text that I have that background coming from art direction, so I understand what you're looking for because I've been there, but I know exactly what I can do for you and what the challenges are. So I'm going to be a good partner having the same knowledge, but I'm not offering doing the same thing as you. And that was the thing that I wanted to emphasize because it's an underline, because I think that is a very important thing. Meet the expectations of your visitor. Is it on your website? Is it in a physical situation where you hand over your portfolio? It is very important to have that very clear image of yourself, I think. So being self-aware is very important, and vice versa, being clear to what you show to others tells the same story.
Yeah. Especially as clients they usually don't hire the person who is the cheapest or the most expensive, but just the most trustworthy person. He can or she can deliver what they need, and showing a consistent and cohesive portfolio definitely helps in that way, because then if they look at your work and they know like all images look the same level, not one is better than the other, or at least some may look better, but none of them look bad. And then you can get like, for example, in my case, I've got 2 beauty portfolios on my website just because like one is a more creative and weird beauty images, and the other one is the more advertising kind of photography. So that's something I want to show as well, because then they know I understand the difference and I can deliver one or the other. It's not like if you sign up with me for like beauty work, you're gonna get someone with makeup all over the face. So that's something extremely important, as you say.
Yeah. And have you had a moment when you like changed something in your perception from the outside?
Yeah, I mean, I started as a wedding photographer and I slowly moved into commercial work. And for a while, I tried to like do kind of everything and juggle with like wedding, commercial work, and commercial was like commercial, not something specific in it. And then 2 to 3 years ago, I decided I would drop everything but what I do now. And since then, I feel like it's been the most impactful thing on my business. Uh, over the last year, it's been such an increase in request in work and client size and budget for production. So yeah, definitely being more, like you say, self-aware of what I do and what I do best and how I can showcase that through my portfolio definitely helped a lot.
Okay. So how do you pick your images or projects for your website and for your let's start with the online portfolio. How do you choose the work that you want to show, and do you have a number of projects that you are like committing yourself to show, or is it completely open and you just go with what you feel?
It's completely open. What I try not to do is put out more than 3 images from the same shoot, as I don't think it's interesting in the portfolio. I've got a blog where I can put like a full series or something for people who want to see if I can deliver a series of images and not just like one image. But for the portfolio, it's usually like 1 to max 3 images for one shoot.
For one project.
And then,
okay.
yeah, one project. And then something I try to keep in mind as well all the time when I select the images and even when I shoot them is to try and keep in mind my dream clients, like the big names I'd like to work for or work with. I try to keep them in the back of my mind just to make sure that what I create is going to bring me one step closer to them.
Okay.
Or if they would see my work, they could be potentially interested. Perhaps not now, perhaps my level is not up there yet, but still, I'm trying to keep that in mind just to like get every time a bit closer. And that helps as well to keep my style cohesive, because then I know like if my client list, like the dream clients are a cohesive brands, like different brands, but that could use the same kind of images, then my work is going to be cohesive as well, because it's like what they could use. So it helps a lot.
Yeah, that's great. And so when you made that decision, what was your dream client in that moment, and what did you do to get there or get closer to it? Well, let's say if it's not a name, what was the thing that you were looking for?
Well, first when I started to like look into what I wanted to do, because I wasn't so sure if I wanted to get into product photography and specialize in that. And then I started to look at what my interests are, and I felt like actually product photography was great, and having beauty on the side was also great, because that could work together really well. For like many products are shot with a model as well, and then if you shoot beauty, that can be combined. So that was a great starting point. And then I started to look at what I actually liked, because I believe if you are going to work in an industry, it's much better to like have some interest in what you photograph and have some interest for the topic. For example, I do like beauty, cosmetics, perfumes, and luxury goods in general, and that's something I like to talk. That's something I like to buy, and same for drink and food. I do shoot some beverage and food as well, and those are two things I actually love. And then it helps because if you communicate with the client, you already know the vocabulary, you already know what works, what doesn't, you know the brands, the competitors, and then it's much easier to talk with them about that.
Yeah.
If I was to get into like, I don't know, sports photography, yeah, sure, I've done some sports, but like some specific stuff such as basketball or hockey, I've got no idea about rules. So if I had to talk about that with a client, I'd just be lost. So I feel like having a specialization in something that's close to your interest or that is your interest helps a lot. And then the brands were just, to me, easy to find because some of them, to me, it's like if I look at their images, I'm like, wow, that's what I want to do. And there are many as well. I mean, if you look at my work, I like things that are contrasty, dark, moody. So I know I'm more leaning towards like Mac or YSL or NARS, and not like extremely bright skincare work, which still I could do, but I don't think that's like my long-term goal.
Yeah, and that's interesting to hear because I think on your way you figure out what you really enjoy and what you are naturally good at, or where you think you can improve.
Yeah.
And yeah, I had the same. I was going through many different areas, and for me, I can say that I touched on car retouching, but it turned out that I enjoy people and product, and especially beauty and hair, obviously, very much more. And I saw that this is more the type of work that I really enjoy doing, and where I wouldn't say that I couldn't get used to car retouching, but I think the thing for me is that I'm not that interested in cars. I don't know. It's just it's a tool for me, and I never really was into having, I don't know, fancy cars or stuff. I like driving a car to get from A to B, and sometimes I like to drive a nice car, but I don't know, it just didn't click with me. And that's okay. There's enough work for everybody. And I found that working with humans and everything human related, like pictures of people, I mean, is something that I really enjoy because it has so many facets and so many different stories to tell that this is what was exciting me the most. And the fine line between so I mean, when you retouch people, that it's two kinds of people, right? So there's one, the natural photography maybe, and the other one is the commercial photography. And also, if celebrities are included, there's some other rules that you have to follow, like they shouldn't look completely different than in other images, like skin what special features of their skin or whatever that they have should be the same in the images. So I think working with people and working with hair and working with colors and everything fashion wise is such an interesting field for me that I completely fell for it, and I have a strong passion for everything, to find that balance between just enough and not too much. So I don't like these over retouched images unless a client really wants that. That's a different story. But I think what I hear a lot is that I am really finding that edge of natural and really beauty. And this is something that I specialized on. That I want this to be real, but still with tiny imperfections and commercial, but not too much. And this is something that I really enjoy, like trying with every single image. And then you hear that this is my passion, and this is why I want to communicate that. And in the beginning, I don't know why, but I had a lot of male portraits that I retouched. And there was this really strong characteristic images, because men have like this rough skin and can have this rough, edgy look. And beauty is always very polished, especially in the commercial world. But then there's this artistic side when you work for magazines and free collaborations. This is something that I really enjoy, and I always wanted to have that split. That's what I always tell my clients, that I really like to have that commercial work on the one side, or there's the camera, and the other side is like this artistic work, right? And this is something that was really striking for me.
Yeah, and that's a good balance to keep as well, because I think it helps you grow as an artist as well. Like, it's actually your next point, like to collaborate with other artists.
Yeah.
And I believe like being able to work with artists on the side and not just on jobs helps you like work on projects that you really want to do, and or projects that you really want to show, and just elevate your work as a whole.
Yes, that's true. And I have to say that I consider myself as an artist too. I know that I've been doing this for such a long time. Just the technical work wouldn't satisfy me. I love creating moods and feelings, and there's so much that goes into this kind of work that goes beyond technical retouching, like working with colors and color psychology, and working with different ethics, that how colors are perceived differently throughout the world, and learning about all this and collaborating with great artists and photographers from all over the world opens so many new doors. And I think especially when starting out, of course it's you might have that thought that, hey, how can I reach out to these people, and how can I convince them that I would be a possibly good partner to them? Because if you don't have a convincing portfolio by then, it doesn't mean that you cannot work with people like that. It's just that you have to be open about that, and maybe just tell these people that, hey, I really like your work, and I would do a lot of work for you, let's say for free, to, just to learn from you. And this is like an internship or something like that, that you could like find that symbiosis with someone that is a really good artist, and be like going to be an assistant as a photographer. Most photographers start out being assistant to better photographers. And this is something that you can see everywhere, I think. And it's the same with, of course, with retouching. If you want to become a good retoucher, I think it's necessary that you work with good people, and that you collaborate with them. Be honest about that. How you want to be perceived, how you want to partner up, and just ask a lot of questions, and be there, and listen, and understand what the vision of the other person is. And if you do that, in my case, I was able to grow from these experiences, and I found someone, cheers, Michael, that I've been working with in the beginning of my solo career as a retoucher, that we were a really good match, and we did a ton of jobs together, and we lifted each other up, and it was a great situation to be in, to have someone that is growing himself, and you grow together, and you bring in the best of both worlds, and you are just very open about that with each other. And that's nice to have these kind of collaborations. And so this being said, I think if you work, let's give an example, because I think that might help someone that is thinking about how to get that commercial work. When I decided that I want to specialize in hair retouching, that was, I think, back in 2014. I knew there were a couple of agencies that here in Düsseldorf that were dealing with clients that are in the hair and beauty industry, and I reached out to them, and I worked for them in another commercial job. So that was a huge campaign for the cash and carry market, and there was a bulk job of 200 images. And we did that together with 2 retouchers together for 3 months. We were hired into that agency. And a couple of weeks in, I reached out to the people that were in the beauty and hair department and asked if I could have a conversation with them when the job is done. And so I entered there, and we were discussing what they had, challenge-wise, how they work. And it was very exciting to just listen and at the end tell them that, hey, I do have some experience in this field, but I really want to go deeper into this. And would there be a chance to have a test job? It doesn't have to be an actual one, but is there something that I could work on and you would give me real feedback? And they were like, well, of course, sure. We're always looking for new talent and people that can help us with this, because there's so much work. But it was quite challenging for them to find good people to have like the capabilities to do that. And on the other hand, I had the opportunity to learn from pros in the industry to give me real feedback. And that was very valuable. And this was something that I was very grateful for. So I took some turns, and eventually they said that, hey, we think you can do that. And I was pumped, but of course I didn't have that much experience. So the first jobs were kind of, let's say, they took quite long to be finished. But that didn't scare me. It was just really motivating. And I remember one job where, 30 correction rounds on one image, and was like, I don't know what to do anymore with this image. And I knew every single hair by name. And but it was fun to go through that pain to understand what they were looking for. And this is what actually led me there. And it didn't scare me off. It was just, I was so on the hook. But this is because I enjoyed doing that. And I was aware that this is what I want to do. And so I think I didn't have the real examples of my work, but I went in and asked them for some test jobs. And this is the point that I wanted to make with this long story. You can always ask for a test and commit to do that as you would do a real commercial job, and ask for that honest feedback, even if it hurts. Yeah. If they take the time to give you real feedback, this is an invaluable learning process for you. And I would encourage everyone to do that if you really want to go for something like that. It's a crazy journey, but it's fun in the end if you enjoy it. And I guess it's the same with photography, right?
Yeah. And even like talking about feedback, I feel that's something people are often afraid to ask. Like when sending an estimate and getting a no, like just ask why. No, I mean, I know it's a bit off topic, but just like talking about feedback, I feel it's something so important that so many are afraid of asking for. like a client is going to say no for some reason, or if like you finish a job with an ad agency, you could ask if you could have done something different or better to help make their work easier as well, and just try to learn. Because if you learn and show to clients or agencies that you work with that you want to learn and improve and get better every time, and just be honest about the level you're at now, I believe that's something that could be helpful. Just not asking feedback as if you didn't know anything, but just ask for like proper feedback.
Yeah.
I think it's so important. Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess
But otherwise, yeah.
And I guess, especially in commercial world, if you are like honest about it and say that, hey, this is who I want to be, this is what I am, and I would love for you to help me get there. And I would,
Yeah.
if it's not too much to ask, give me one test job and I'll show you what I'm capable of. And I'm more than happy to adapt to your wishes. So if you could give me a real brief and on a project, on a test project, or on a project that you have done in the past, it doesn't have to be a test project, something I could offer you. And I believe that there is maybe not the first agency that you ask, I don't know, because people are busy, but if you ask 10 to 100, there's going to be enough work for you to try on and get real feedback on that. And don't be discouraged if the first 5 say no. There's a lot more to ask. And you can also, like, if it's in your town or city or nearby, you can like meet with them in person and just try to find that open, honest relationship. And I believe 100% that from there, once you get there, they will hire you. Once you get to that point that they really are looking for, you have that trust that you mentioned earlier and honesty about what you want to do. And then I guess it is a good door opener for you.
Yeah.
I think in this business, fake it till you make it doesn't work.
No. I don't think it works in like many industries. It may work if you are a really good liar, but otherwise it doesn't really work. And when you talk about feedback and going to agencies to ask for it, I feel like I don't know how it works as a retoucher, but as a photographer, usually if you try and like cold email or cold call some agencies, usually you're gonna get some kind of a meeting at some point, and they are going to ask to see your portfolio, and that's usually when you can get some feedback on your work from someone who is hiring you or other photographers or other retouchers.
Absolutely.
And that's a great place to just listen, ask question and listen. And even with clients you've had, I mean, I remember the first work I had with an ad agency, I learned so much because the art director was so cool with me and I could ask anything I wanted. And, you know, when you ask a question, it could be just like, oh, you know, I really loved working with you on that job, so I would love to work with you again. But, you know, if there is anything I can do to make your life easier, so you also like working with me even more, that'd be my pleasure. So just let me know and I'd be happy to be working on that and send you like a spec work or test shoots that I've done, taking into consideration what you just told me. So that I feel there is always a way, and just turn your question and the request for feedback in a positive way and just like show the appreciation you've got for other people. It's extremely important.
That's a great point. That's a really good point. And how about, I just see there's a question from Christoph.
Yeah.
He said that
I feel that's interesting now. Yeah.
How do you balance your work and personal projects in your portfolio? Well, that's a very good question. And I believe that I think you can give a very good answer on that, because that's what you do, right?
Yeah, yeah, we could. I think we've got different answers as well. To me, my portfolio is mostly personal work. I do have commercial work in there, but I try not to show what is what. I prefer leaving the client decide for whatever they want to believe. But to me, like, showing a lot of personal work is also a way of showing what I like to do, what I'm good at, and just what my vision as an artist is. And I think that's something extremely important for me, because I know some of my clients are coming to me for some of the projects I've done in the past. Like recently, I shot some flowers in a block of ice and like fake ice cream with flowers in it. I think since I've published that on my website, I've probably had 5 clients asking me if there is a way we could replicate that for them. I'm not sure I'm going to do that for 5 clients, because I don't think that's quite wise. But still, I mean, showing personal work is so important, because it shows who you are and what you like and what you're capable of. Whereas just showing commercial work is going to showcase how well you can execute the vision of someone else, especially as a photographer. Because usually when you work for a client, you've got like direction of what they want to execute and how. And sometimes you've got, even get some 3D mock-ups of what you've got realized for product photography, which is ridiculous. But anyways, so yeah, I think having a good balance is important. And I don't think there is a definite ratio we can say like you need 40-60 or 50-50 or whatever. It's really up to you and what you like to show, because I know some people are better at executing stuff they get from someone else, whereas other people much rather create their stuff and execute less for others. So I think it's more of who you are and how you like to work. So then you show what you like to do. It's the same as what we talked about before. If you show product photography but you don't like it, why do you show it? It's the same for commercial work. If you like to be able to do the art direction as well, why do you show work where you didn't have the art direction in your hands? So it's really not a matter of a ratio or a balance. It's more of a what do you want to show and how do you want your work to be perceived by clients.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, true. And for me, I think we briefly touched on that earlier, but I think in my case as a retoucher, it's a thing of being allowed to show the work that I do to help agencies, and wanting to show the work, because, as I said, sometimes there's work that is it's a great thing. It can be great projects to work on, but it has some technical. Most of the times, it's rather technical jobs where you have to compose images to tell a story. And the other thing is that for me is this artistic side, and where I want to express my aesthetic feeling for colors and for skin and for hair. And I always try to find a mix or a balance between that kind of commercial work that I really want to promote, and or some projects that actually I could just show that, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Maybe that's easier to explain then. Let me quickly extend that here, and so that it is visible. I will switch to my desktop. And what you see now is my website. And there I can just quickly show something. Oh, and by the way, this is another point that I wanted to make, that I really like the idea of having a clear mission statement. And this is what I came up with, like crafting better images to connect human hearts and brands. That's what I do. That's my North Star. And I'm just emphasizing that it is with my experience, I love to tell the story of each image, and that it is very important to me to actually take what I get, preserve the natural beauty of it, enhance those details that could not be captured in camera, or that are just it's not like you don't get it in one shot. And I'm a strong believer in teamwork, so I don't like these divas that much that say that it's done by one person. An image is always done by a team, and everyone, especially me, I have the honor to finish a job where so many talented people have worked on together, from the idea, the concept, the stylist, the set design, the art director, the makeup artist, and of course the photographer capturing the scene. So this is what I like to point out so that the people know what they get. But let's go to the amount of work and the kind of work that I like to show. As you see here, I do quite a lot in fashion and in beauty, and I'm trying to find that mixture of, this is all editorial work and collaborational work that I show here. And you can see that it's different kind of magazines, and it's a different kind of fashion, and I put that on top. But if you go down a bit, you can see that it goes to portraits that I have been working on with photographers for magazines, and then it transitions to commercial work. For instance, like a campaign like that here for Miele or for Stabilo. Let's open that one up quickly. And you can see that this is showing an ad that says highlight the remarkable. And here it was the job to show, I don't know if you can read that, but let me quickly translate. So this woman here is the wife of Mr. Wilson, who has been a former president of the United States, and he had some stroke at some point, and she took over his duties. And in this campaign, strong women were highlighted, or remarkable women were highlighted, and it was my job to make that look like it was actually done by that pen. This was an exciting job. It doesn't appear to be that challenging, but the thing is that I really like these kind of commercial works that go from, let's say, just a really striking idea to be very complex composite works, like something like this here that we
did you print the ad and use the pen on the paper?
No, I created a Photoshop brush tip to actually do that, right? And
I could see my parents printing the thing and trying to do that.
Yeah, that's true. It was many tests, and this is, can I make this bigger? No, like so. This is a composite work, actually, where the background was shot separately, and each player was shot separately in many different angles, so that we were able to create this composite out of it. And the challenge is that these campaigns for Bundesliga clubs here in Germany are created 1 week before the season starts. And you have to be, you have to have a good workflow to get this done in this 1 week. Not just this, but also those 30 autograph cards that are created at the same time. And the thing is that you will never get a shot where everybody of them looks in the camera and where everybody is visible, like in this V formation.
Yeah.
And so the best shot was to, and then there's another challenge. If you have these kind of, if you have got these kind of players, and you shoot them in one shot, the tendency is quite high that one of these guys is going to be sold before the season starts. So then you have to edit him out of the shot, you know, if you did it in one shot, and this is something you don't want to do. So the best idea was to actually shoot every single player separately, put them together, but to get a feeling of the right perspective, we did that in Cinema 4D, and we put them together in one room. And actually, if you look at those players that have sort of distant to each other, and that they have the same, the good relation in height and distance, it's quite challenging. And then to have these kind of real shadows on them and on the ground, that was something that when we did that the first time, we did that for 7 years in a row. I think there was a lot of room for improvement, and but it was such a fun journey, and you get better every time you do it. And these are the images that I like to show, because they have got this kind of challenge to it that especially art directors, I think, can relate to and know what they are looking for when they're looking for composite work for work that they, or this one here, where they have got these kind of composites that they have in mind, and they just want you to realize this and to make this happen so that it looks and tells the story of the art director's idea. And this, for example, has been made out of, I don't know, 30 images and 30 single images. And this is something that you can do when you actually have done that for a couple of times. I think starting out with something like that would be too challenging, possibly. And therefore, it is good to put that on your portfolio when you want to attract this kind of complex composite work, right?
Yeah.
And but or even if you work on strong ideas, like for example this one, it shows that you have got this sense for beauty or for symmetry and for really like pristine lines in makeup and things like that. So I like to put that there because people understand what they can get when they are looking for someone that is capable of doing good makeup retouching or hair retouching and making these like giving it, you know that from beauty photography there is this kind of feeling that you have for natural beauty or natural retouching.
Yeah.
And I really like images like this where you don't go too far, but you make it a really strong image with playing with light and shadow and evening out skin, but leaving it as natural as you can and giving hair a nice outline and making like this kind of really artistic makeup look real, and or even give it this twist where you think, can that be real? And this kind of commercial work is something that I really love and enjoy, and this is why I show that. And I believe that it's something that I'm always trying to do, is reconsider if this is something that I really want to do, and then it goes there, and then it's okay for me to have a lot of these projects there, as long as they fit to my actual vision that I have at that moment. And speaking of vision, what I wanted to show is that I have put together this mission and motivation here. And I think that's something that I try to ask myself, what would I like to read when I am searching for someone like me? And this, I double-checked this with clients that I have and friends that I have. And this is something that I can encourage everyone to do, is just to speak about your mission and vision, and double check that with clients or like other artists that you trust, and get real feedback and pivot on that until you're happy. And even more important, the client gets what you really are offering and what you want to do, right? And the other thing, now that we're here, is I wanted to show some other online portfolios that can help you get more visibility, and that are great resources for you to show your work to be found by others, because people don't necessarily always find your website, right? If you don't do, like, let's say, good social work, social media work, or even SEO work, or like pointing people to your website. Of course, you can do that if you have got a good Instagram portfolio, or if you have got, well, maybe something like we do here, right? Where you work, where you do some content, where you create some content like videos, or something where people can find value. You can, of course, point people to your website. But then again, there's always like places like Behance, for example. I don't know, do you use Behance?
I've been using it like really not on a regular basis. I go to it sometimes and I'll publish a project and then I'll go back. But I feel like it's a platform that's interesting, at least for photographers, if you show some of the process behind the project and not just the project itself, like the results.
Yeah.
And I tend to forget when I'm on a set to photograph and document the thing. So it's usually just like the same as my blog, and I don't feel like it works quite well. I've had a few projects go quite well, statistically wise.
Yeah.
But I think it's a great platform if you put some effort into it and you use it on a regular basis and go check others' work as well. Because I feel like the quality is also better on Behance than Instagram. Like if you're looking for inspiration, it's definitely much better.
Yeah. Well, I think what I like it for is that many creatives from agencies are using it to find inspiration. And many creatives have their portfolio there. So it's a good place if you do some good tagging on your images, where you can be found. And it's not necessarily something where people book you over, but I do get a lot of requests message-wise from people that, hey, I saw your work here, and can you tell me would you be available for a job? And then you can decide, is this something that you want to do, or that feels right for you? Or if not, of course, you can say no, but I guess it's a good place to start out when you don't have a portfolio, for instance, on a page like models.com. And I found this one is a fantastic resource for inspiration, especially in beauty and fashion photography. And do you know this page?
I've never used models.com now.
I can quickly show you and people that are interested in this. It's a great platform where you can find, if you click on updates, but I have to say that you have to have a free account to be able to access the database. And but to have your own account, you have to have work that is published on models.com by others to be able to have an account yourself. So this is something like a social proof that they want. But it comes when being working in these kind of collaborations. But let me quickly show you what it offers. It has all the latest magazine covers and if there's some blank here, it just says that it's the March 2020 cover. It's not revealed yet, but it's someone has put it there already. And you can go through and you can see all the latest international magazines and the covers and the cover stories. And it's such an amazing place to get inspiration and to see how the trends are, how colors are worked on, and what is like. You only find really nice published work. And this is something that I really love to browse every once in a while, to just be amazed by other artists or reach out to artists that I really like and just tell them that, hey, I saw that work and I really liked it, so keep doing it. This is one of my favorite websites, and I'm really happy that I've been pointed to that by my friend, by my friend Per, also beauty and fashion photographer, that we've done a lot of work together. And ever since he told me that this website exists, I made this my starting website. And this is a great place to show work or to just see great work. And that being said, let me go back to our screen together. So that
there is one that's a bit similar as well. I think it's called Go See.
Go See, Go See is also a great platform. And those kind of places are very interesting to show your work, even if it's just one project or two, because there are like people, creative buyers, art buyers, beauty editors or fashion editors or whatever, you name it, from the big magazines look for great artists, and it's something that is very valuable to just consider if you are going for that direction. And or you can find people to reach out to, right? And to connect with and to ask, would you mind checking my portfolio, or whatever is on your mind. You can always ask. Be prepared for no, but you don't have to ask only one person. This is how I came to where I am. I asked so many people that, like, can we do this together? Can I show you that? And I was never discouraged by someone that said, hey, come back again in 5 years, because I knew that this is going to be the path that I want to go, and this is how I will get there. It's just the hours that you have to put in, right? So let me just check the comments. Well, you're welcome. And for you guys, what is the best social media for photographer retoucher? Well, it depends on what channel you click with, right? I believe that for photographers, possibly, well, Instagram is still a thing, I guess. And you can show your work, and you can point people to your website, or you can show some nice behind the scenes. But most certainly, you can use every social media platform depending on what you like to show and how you like to present yourself. Of course, you can. Well, Instagram is like the red ocean for photographers, right? It's something that is mandatory, I guess, but it's nothing where you stand out. So, like, there's 1,000 millions of people that show their work there. But if you are the one that is capable of telling good stories about photography on TikTok, for example, that can be a good thing where you can stand out and, again, point people to your website. But that was just one example. It is how you click and how you roll and how you like to tell your story. You can be very creative on LinkedIn and to reach out to business clients. You can be very creative on YouTube, providing value to possible clients by showing how you work and how you can give insights like you do, right? And you, Quentin, you are very successful on YouTube, and you build a big audience, and you are giving, but you can tell yourself better what you do. But I have the impression that you show a lot of your work, and at the same time you give back to the creative community by taking reviews on their portfolio and by helping them. And I guess this is something where you, but tell us.
Yeah, I mean, we've already talked a bit about YouTube in previous episodes, and to me, it's a great platform, though it's not where my clients are, and I don't think it's a platform that I like on which I concentrate to get new clients. Best social media, like you said, I don't think there is just one. It's more of a combination of different social media and just finding first, just like you said, what works for you, where do you feel comfortable, and what kind of content you like putting out. Because if you don't like video work, obviously you're not going to use TikTok. If you are a photographer today, I think obviously Instagram is needed, because when you give a name to someone, the first thing the other person is going to do is to look for the name on Instagram. So definitely Instagram is much needed. LinkedIn, I started using it over the last year and a half. I wasn't so sure LinkedIn was working, but actually I think now it's turning out to be one of the places where most of my clients come from, aside from networking and referrals, because it's so interesting how when you post something on LinkedIn, if someone from your network is going to like the post, then everyone in the network of that person who liked your post is going to see your work as well. So it's kind of great in that way, because you can have a greater reach than you've got on Instagram, and you know who is going to look at the post as well, because like TikTok, the reach is better than Instagram, but you don't have much control over who is going to have your content in the feed. Whereas LinkedIn, if you add people that could be potential clients, then the more potential clients you add to your network, the more potential clients are going to see your work, because usually potential clients are connected between each other, because like a marketing CMO, chief marketing officer from one company is going to move to another one, or an art director is going to move from one agency to another one, and then he's got new contacts from a new agency that you've networked with, that's really interesting in that way. So yeah, I think if you can use a mix of everything and just like
that's what I wanted to
such as use tools such as Later to schedule your post on all the platforms, so you don't have to bother like going to each platforms every day to check and
does Later post new feature LinkedIn by now?
Yeah, you cannot post multiple images I think, just single images. But you can post on Pinterest, which is great as well, on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on Instagram, and Facebook. There isn't MySpace.
MySpace.
I wish we could use MySpace. It's nowhere to be found. I've emailed the tech support to ask for MySpace, so we'll see.
Does it still exist? Okay.
I've got no idea.
It would be awesome. And Tinder, of course. And but I wanted to say that now that you said LinkedIn, what I found works really well is as you said, you reach a lot of potential clients by reaching one. And the idea is that what would be valuable to, as opposed for a creative person that is possibly going to hire you. And I think it's one thing to show your work or the result of the work and to say, hey, look, this is what I did. People might see it and say, okay, that's going to be interesting. But how about you give a little more value and you say that, hey, this is what we did. This is the result of the recent work that we created. But how about you, if you are interested in how this was done, check this out. Here's a link to the making of, or to like a full retouch of that image on my YouTube channel. And this is how you can combine that. Or you can also do that the vice versa. You can have that, you can create that YouTube video and take some snippets out of it, put it on YouTube, put it on LinkedIn, and just take one part that is interesting or might be interesting to your target group and show it. And if you like to see more, you can go to my channel and see how I did it. And maybe this workflow is something for you that you could be interested in me doing for you. This is something that I think is really, really powerful. We are getting some French questions.
Yes, some jokes in French.
Okay.
Like an old social network we had that was called Caramel. It's kind of like a chat, old chat we had.
That's great.
So he was asking, like, would that work? Yeah, sure. It's even older than MySpace.
That's great. Okay. And yeah, that's the thing. I think the best posts are those where you find some value more than just seeing an image. But of course, that's something. No, don't be sorry. That's great. I like poor jokes. And this is something that I think is very, very. It's a great option to upgrade your content. And of course, it does. It means that you have to put a bit more work in, but you don't have to produce a ton of videos. One is enough, where you show your workflow or your approach to something that you do, and that can be so valuable to someone that is just looking for that. And this is what I noticed when I started my YouTube channel, and it's still, well, it's so small in comparison to yours, but I reached so many people with it already that have reached out and told me that, hey, this is exactly what we were looking for. And this made me happy that I was able to help someone. Yeah. But those people that I made happy, those people reached out to their clients or their network and said, if you are looking for someone to retouch your images, you can contact Jan. And this is exactly what happened. So I had some clients that came through recommendation over someone that saw my workflow on YouTube. And if you would have told me that before, I might have doubted that. But I had to just make that experience, and this was very motivating for me to create more content to help people. I started that because I wanted to show how to get to a certain level of expertise, and I wanted to just share some knowledge, and but I didn't think about that it actually is seen by so many people, and this is something that works passively for you as your portfolio as well. So if you share some valuable knowledge, this is most definitely something that is possibly even better than showing just images that you created, because people can get to know you as a person in some way.
Yeah, and talking about social media, the goal of social medias is to keep people on their platform. So if you post content that's going to retain the attention of your followers on the platform, then it's much better for them, and they are going to promote your work. So if you can make content that people want to share, content that people are going to look at for a while, like on Instagram, I've noticed a difference playing with it. If I post one image and then if you create a carousel and add like a very short video showing like what the setup was like, people are going to spend more time on it and look at the video and how I placed my lights. And even though photographers are not my target audience, if they spend more time on my post, then there are more chances my post is going to be shared further down the line to people that could be interested in my work. So being able to create content that shows more than just work is definitely interesting for so many reasons. And even like showing the behind the scenes also show your expertise. And social media is great for that because you can assess your expertise on there and use your portfolio just to showcase your work. So it's not mixed in on the same platform, which doesn't work well oftentimes.
Yeah.
It can be well done, but I don't think it's an easy task to do. And like some work doesn't have its place on your website or your portfolio, but it could be posted on Instagram or LinkedIn or whatever, where the quality can be lower because the expectations are not the same as a portfolio in PDF or website format.
Yeah.
I don't know if you think, what do you think?
Well, I just had a thought that I think it's very important to have that kind of value, because value in that in your communication. It can be a video, it can be something like that sets you apart from the other competitors. Because I think in our industry there are many people that are capable of doing a really good job, and there's enough work for everybody. I believe that, but you can only attract the work, or like the quality work that you are aiming for, if you are seen as someone that is trustworthy. Because you will get the work when people believe that you are the one that is not only capable of doing this, but you are also someone that they can trust and that is good to communicate with. And if you give a little bit more than just images that you show, that you can create, obviously, but it's like the same with having a podcast or having like giving a talk in front of some people in real life, not in the internet. If you do that, you have the ability to convince people with your appearance, and because if doing a YouTube video or doing a podcast or doing a webinar or something like that stays in the internet, for example, is something that works passively for you in a very good way, because people tend to think they know you, or they have got some connection to you, which is super cool, because you don't have to convince them anymore when they contact you. They know what they want to get, and they see the value in your work. And just ask yourself, if there are 3 people in a room that have the same quality of work, who would you work with? Possibly not the asshole, or just the guy that you think you trust, or that you know, or that you have got a good feeling with, right? And
they can be the same person. You can trust the asshole.
Yeah, they can be, but I think
just kidding.
But I think this is the point, if you are good in something and you are able to explain what you do and you can give a little more value, this is something that would attract me as a client. I would, because, well, I have been, when I was thinking about creating YouTube videos of my retouching work, and I was talking to other people about that, they said that, well, I don't know if I want to be seen on YouTube as a retoucher, because these are not the ones that are really working in the industry. And I said, well, I'm not those guys. I'm me, and whatever this person wants to do, if they are just doing it to sell workshops or whatever, it's okay. There's clients for everyone. But I want to share my knowledge, and I want to use that to leverage my work, and I want to create value, but at the same time, I want to have something out there that shows people how I work and how detail oriented I am, how good I can evaluate projects, and how I roll with working in the retouching industry. And I don't have to do it as the others do, and neither do you or anyone else. And this is something that I think I had these prejudices in the beginning, and then I said, no, I'm going to do that as I feel it, and I can only do me. And this is how it will happen, and this is what I like. And I don't think that anyone will think a different way when they watch what I do. Either they like it or not, but I don't think that it is something that could possibly hurt me. Why wouldn't it? And these are the things that I have had so many arguments about that, and everybody has to do what they think. But I believe in sharing and giving, and I know that something comes back. So this is what I truly believe, and why wouldn't I use that to give something then? And there was another thought that I had, but I just lost it. It's maybe coming back. I don't know. Yeah, now I know. I just recently heard something that I really liked when we are talking about social media, because many people think that they need a huge amount of followers, and that they need a lot of approval, like likes and whatever. And I think that is true to a certain point, but you have to be like, even if there's just 10 followers, these are like 10 people that are standing in your shop, right? Yeah. Imagine you have a shop. And I just recently saw a video of Calvin Hollywood. I have not seen him in a long time, but this video was shown to me in YouTube, and he was talking about social media and how important engagement is. And he was, many years ago, he was preaching that it's very important to grow your following and blah, blah, blah. And then he said, I'm going to take that back now. I think it's all about engagement now. And then he got me curious, and I was listening. And so what I found very interesting was the one example that he gave. And he was talking about this shop. And if you are in your shop where you sell your goods or your service, and there's 20 people in it, you're 20 followers or true followers or whatever. And you are in that shop, and you are grabbing below your counter, and you pull up a box with flyers. You take those flyers and you walk past them out of your shop, right? And you are advertising on the street and like, hey, I want more clients. Here's my flyer. And you are not really communicating with the ones that are already there. So that's a good point, I think. You don't need a ton of followers or a big social network. It is a really good idea to take care of those that are there already, and to engage with them, and to answer your comments that you get, or be thankful for every single like that you get, because someone took the time to actually give you their appreciation. And this is something that is really powerful if you engage with that, because most likely those people will, engage with you again if you are kind, if you are just communicating. And this is something that how I always felt about social media. I'm trying to answer every comment that I get or every message that I get, because I think one point is kindness is one thing that I think is very important. It's in gratitude for someone to tell you that, hey, I really liked what you did. And this is also, especially on LinkedIn, I think it is a very great way to connect, because, as you said, so many people will see that.
Yeah.
So I talked for a long time. Sorry for that.
No, that's good. It's interesting. So I don't have much to add, so I'm just like, okay, sorry.
Yeah, well, you just stop me when I talk
That's
too much,
it.
okay?
No, that's good. I mean, I'm not going to stop you when you talk good. You've got some interesting stuff to share. And
Yeah.
actually, I could even add about regarding the fact of getting new followers versus taking care and nurture the one you have. I think it's just the same for clients as well. It's
Absolutely.
also something we can sometimes forget. It's easier to keep clients than to get new one. It's cheaper as well. And it's actually the same for followers. It's much easier to keep the one you have than to find new ones. Just if they follow you, it's for some reason because they like something you did at some point. So
Yeah.
if you keep doing what you did, they are going to keep on following you. And if you change at some point, they may understand and keep following you or just go away and you will find new ones. I mean, I've changed from wedding to portrait to some lingerie to then now doing product photography. I know some people are following me from get-go, like since 2013, which is crazy. So yeah, keeping people is much easier and they can be a strength for your business. So it's extremely important.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And well, I guess we covered quite a lot already again, and it's
Yeah.
1.5 hours in. I don't know how fast time flies when we talk. We always say that we want to nudge it down to an hour, but how do we do that?
Impossible. We went a bit off track, but still it was interesting because I feel like social network and portfolio are in some way connected nowadays,
Yeah.
and it's interesting to talk about that as well. So that's good.
Yeah,
A lot
absolutely.
of good things in there.
So, do we have
Perhaps
any
for
questions?
yeah,
Let's check.
and while people are typing in some questions before we wrap up, if you're looking at the live, so the replay will be available probably on our channels for a few days, and then it will be available on the channel we created just for the show. So the link is in the description of
Yes.
the live, so you can find it there, and that's
that's how we will do it in future, right? We created the Two Caps One Passion channel, which has a lot potential to grow. So if you like, you're invited over to subscribe there and to see all the recordings that we did, because on our own channels we will broadcast the lives, but we will not store them there, right?
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think it's a good idea to keep it for like a few days. We're probably going to keep it for a few days, like 2-3 days, if people just want to be aware of it.
But the
And then
archive
it's
is going to be there.
Yeah. So it's easier for you to find the show because I know some people are watching both channels and they're going to be lost in between. And then if you don't speak German or French and you don't find the content you want, so there is going to be for the shows. We may add some other stuff in the future. We'll see. We've got some discussion and we'll see what we're going to add. But for sure, at this time for now, it's going to be the show at least.
Absolutely. And if you guys have a topic that you would love us to dive in and talk about, or if you have got something that you would like for us to take a look at and maybe talk about, if we are just talking about portfolio, if you would like us to take a look at your portfolio or something like that, we are thinking about new formats, and we are, of course, open for your suggestions. And just let us know. You can reach us through, of course, all the obvious channels, right? And Instagram, LinkedIn, email, YouTube, whatever, you name it. Maybe TikTok.
MySpace.
Or MySpace. Or you can, you can come up with your own ideas. We are happy to, to have your feedback. And I think if there's no, were there more questions? Let me just quickly check.
There is one. I study photography in France. I've already done several internships, but I'd like to do one more specifically in retouching. Do you know any retoucher who take on trainees?
Well, I think the
Who
best
take on
call would
trainees?
be to go for retouching studios
Yeah,
or post-production studios or advertising agencies that do have a retouching department, because this is most likely the situation where you can get a lot of different input, and
yeah,
which is most likely in every area that is more or less, let's say, in a city. And if you are aiming for a specific person that you would want to work with, I guess it's always a good idea to just reach out and see if this person is available, and how the schedules would match. And of course, it depends, not right? If you are looking for a real traineeship, that's possibly something that is done in an agency or in a post-production studio, because this is most likely I think the ideal setting for that, right?
yeah.
And thanks to share and explain how you work. Do you have an interest to do your video? It's just for fun. Do you have client with your video on YouTube? What's that?
Yeah, we kind of talked about it before. So he's asking if the videos we do on YouTube are just for entertaining purposes, or if we do have an intent to get work from it, or if we do actually get work from it.
Okay. Yeah, true.
I guess.
Yeah, okay. This way, it's understandable, right? Yeah. Well, we talked about that earlier. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, guys, if there's no more questions for today, I think we can wrap it up and call it a day. And thank you so much for staying with us, for commenting, for discussing, and for taking part in this. Quentin, my pleasure to
that was
spend
good.
some time with you again.
Yeah. Pleasure is, how do you say in English? Pleasure is shared? Shared pleasure?
The pleasure is
Sounds
mutual.
weird. Thank you. That's what I was looking for. I had a French way of saying it, and I was like, how do you... Nope.
Yeah,
anyways.
All right, my friends. All right, people.
Just looking.
People
Okay,
are logging
good.
out. That's great. Okay, thank you guys.
Great. It was a pleasure.
And Quentin, we see you and me in 2 weeks, possibly.
Yeah, probably in 2 weeks. Hopefully, if we're not too busy with work, but should be good in 2 weeks.
All right. Maybe next time it's in a bar, right? It said.
In a bar.
It's like we were at a bar with you.
Oh well, next time we've got to bring some beers then.
Why not? A beer and a chat is always nice. All right, yeah. Quentin, let's hang up.
Good.
Let's wrap up. Thank you, and take care, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye.
Take care. Bye.